Welcome back. My name is Alyssa, and in the last video I went over step 1 of the workers' compensation claims process. So I basically outlined the first step of how to actually submit an incident report to HR immediately after the incident has occurred. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through step 2, which is consulting your local doctor, your local GP, and actually starting the work cover claims process from there. Again, to let you know, I am only able to share from my personal experience going through Work Cover Queensland, and the information that I present to you is for educational purposes only, and it should not be construed as legal advice. My aim is to give you some guidance and help you on where to start, what to do, who to go to, and then actually throughout the videos and throughout this video series, I'll actually give you a heads up with what to actually expect dependent on the route that you choose to go down, because there are further steps even beyond when your workers' compensation claim actually ends. So after I had reported the incident to HR, they had an employee assistance program. So they offered me six sessions of counselling under their EAP. So an EAP, which is an employee assistance program, they operate independently from the company, so they are bound by strict privacy and confidentiality standards. So for privacy reasons, they cannot share any employee details back to the company. If they do, this would represent a serious breach of confidentiality and a clear violation of their privacy policy, and it could be grounds for legal action. So in the meantime, me being able to access these 6 counselling sessions through the company's EAP, I had then gone to my local GP at the time to ask for a medical certificate, and I was given advice from an external person and someone very close to me who knew that I had been traumatized and I had fallen into a state of post-traumatic stress disorder, to go to the GP, tell them exactly what happened, outline all of the details, share with them that you have told HR what has happened, and tell your GP that you want them to submit a workers' compensation claim on your behalf. Now, you asking your GP to do that doesn't automatically mean that your compensation claim is immediately approved. This takes weeks, potentially months, and I've even heard in some awful cases years. I will do a separate video to go in a bit more detail with this. However, in a little bit of a summary, the difference between your claim being approved or rejected is how quick essentially the company agrees to admitting fault and admitting that there has been an injury in the workplace. So in my case, me experiencing a psychological injury, PTSD, what helped in my case was that the perpetrator at the time, he had written me an apology letter. He had resigned from the company, and the company had confirmed that I had experienced an injury and that this incident did in fact occur. Now, in other cases, and I have heard another story from someone who did actually also help me in the process, she herself went through this entire claims process as well. And unfortunately, in her case, because the company actually declined that she in fact experienced a psychological injury, her process took an incredibly long time, purely because she had to compile even more information and even more evidence to support her injury and assist her in getting the work cover claim actually approved. So I actually have my original medical certificate here with me on my laptop. So I'm going to actually share a little bit of a summary with you on what that actually entails and what that conversation with the GP actually looks like. So very similar to the incident report that you have sent to HR, you can either even print off the email or show your GP on the email on your phone that you've sent to HR, so they can also include that in the compensation claim to already notify work cover that in fact the company knows that an incident has already occurred. So on the medical certificate, what essentially it looks like is they will write down that it is a new claim that they are putting forward for you. It includes the worker's details, so all of my personal details. It includes the company name. It includes what the worker is actually suffering from, so the medical diagnosis relevant to the claim, when the doctor first saw me, the dates, the date of the injury, a description of what actually occurred during the incident. They will ask if there are any pre-existing factors or any conditions aggravated by the event if it's not previously supplied. They'll also mention your current capacity or lack of for your work role. They will also, dependent on what you have described to them and how you're actually coping with this injury, they'll tick some boxes that are related to, to return to normal duties, able to do suitable duties, or no capability for any type of work at all. So in my case, I had no capability to do any type of work. They have put, so this medical certificate, based on my symptoms of PTSD at the time, this medical certificate was dated for 3 months. And then there is a box on here that says worker will be reviewed again on specific date. So the date 3 months following when this workers' compensation claim was, when the process began. And then the GP will talk to you about a medical management plan. So in my case, for example, it was to go immediately to a psychologist. And because I'm also someone who is very into holistic health, and I'm not someone who would want to go down the line of medications, for example, that's a whole nother story in itself. I actually said to the GP, I would rather go see a psychologist, but I would also like to look into some holistic therapies as well. So I actually brought up acupuncture at the time, and this was also put onto my form. Psychology and acupuncture was approved for me in the beginning. I know that nowadays acupuncture is again still seen as an alternative therapy, so I don't think anymore that it comes under being able to use that via your compensation when that has been decided. Psychology is a bare minimum, however, and they will be providing a series of sessions to you, again based on the severity of your injury as well. I also told the GP the names of the counsellors who I was speaking to via the employee assistance program that the company had referred me to, and I had also done my own research on some psychologists that I wanted to go and see, that the GP could then give me a referral to start the psychology process. The psychology process is really important because they are then going to ask you a series of questions, and essentially your treating specialist on being able to give a clear diagnosis of what your psychological injury actually is. So once you have had this conversation with your GP, with your local doctor, they will put all of this information together, send this off to WorkCover Queensland. Again, I'm sharing my personal case, my personal experience in Queensland, in Australia. The company will also receive notice that there has been a WorkCover claim that has been submitted as well. Something that is really important to note also, I've written this down here so I didn't forget what I want to say. Please note that it is essential that you apply to WorkCover within 6 months of the date on which you first reported your work-related psychiatric symptoms to a GP, as any application outside of this 6-month time limit will be rejected by WorkCover on an out-of-time basis. So ensure that you're doing this as soon as possible following your injury. And again, this is also really important because the injury and the incident is fresh in your mind, and the more details, the better and more likely you are to have the WorkCover claim approved. So in the next video, I'm going to detail WorkCover's investigation of your claim and what happens in approval of your claim, and if in any case there is a rejection of your claim. So I'll see you in the next video, and again, please send this to someone who is going through this process or has experienced a psychological injury in the workplace, because I'm creating these videos to give some guidance and help those that are truly struggling and have no idea of what to do in these situations. You deserve the compensation to assist in your healing journey. Thank you so much for watching to the end. If you got here, please subscribe, support this video series, and I'll see you in the next video.